The biggest downside to being an amateur film critic and pop culture commentator is that I still don't get early access to things like movies. So I have to see them pretty much when everyone else sees them. But sometimes that can be beneficial because it gives you the opportunity to wait for the proverbial dust to settle and you can assess a film for what it's worth rather than what the popular opinion of it might be. Such is the case for Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Sitting here 3 years later after they announced this film, I'm still asking, is that the best title they could have come up with? But looking back now, it would seem that steaming pile of wouldn't look nearly as good on a movie marquee. This movie is terrible. 2.5 hours and really nothing happens except for me getting 2.5 hours older.
That's terrible.
The story, or what passes for one, makes zero sense, full of plot points which go undeveloped or unresolved. Tonally, the film is a dour, washed-out mess, with a color palette that spans from gray to black to brown to dark brown. At a conceptual level, this is a movie that doesn't seem like it's the product of a big-budget Hollywood studio, but is more in line with what two 5-year-olds would come up playing with action figures. At the risk of spoilers, as if anything could spoil a movie that's this detestable in the first place, the plot, or what passes for a plot, goes something like this. Bruce Wayne is angry at Superman for trashing Metropolis and for destroying Wayne Financial and killing his employees, and is trying to find a way to rid the world of Superman once and for all. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor hates Superman for reasons only he seems to understand, which he refuses to share with the audience. Superman rescues Lois Lane in North Africa, but it looks like he's killed an entire village in the process. A large piece of kryptonite is found in the Indian Ocean. Superman has some issues about whether or not he's doing any good. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne has an apocalyptic dream in which the Flash, I think, tells him that Lois Lane is the key to the whole thing. Lex Luthor uses a former Bruce Wayne employee who was injured at the end of Man of Steel to blow up a Senate subcommittee on live television and make it look like Superman is responsible, to the horror of the entire world on live television. Lex Luthor then uses the body of General Zod to create Doomsday and kidnaps Clark Kent's mother and holds her hostage on the condition that he fights Batman, which Lex Luthor has been secretly trying to get Batman to fight him anyway, but Batman really doesn't need the motivation because it turns out he wants to kill Superman anyway and develops a kryptonite weapon to do it. The two fight and eventually lay down their differences when Batman finds out that Superman's mom has the same name as his mom. Doomsday tears up Metropolis. Wonder Woman shows up to save Batman as if her presence was some sort of big reveal. The three team up. Superman dies using the kryptonite weapon that Batman developed to kill him to kill Doomsday. Maybe. And Wonder Woman and Batman are going to find Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman in order to form the Justice League because Bruce Wayne has a feeling that something larger is looming in the distance. Wow. Oh yeah, and Superman might not be dead. And now that I've said it out loud, it makes even less sense. The saving grace of this film, oddly enough, is Ben Affleck as Batman. He's probably one of the best Bruce Waynes on film, and it's the only character that I wanted to see more of in the future. Jeremy Irons' Alfred comes across as more cute, but that's an interesting take on the character, one we haven't seen before. Jesse Eisenberg, oh god. Look, there are people who see something in Jesse Eisenberg that I don't, but I still don't. Apparently, he wasn't taking any direction in this movie. He's not playing Lex Luthor in this movie, he's playing the Riddler. We don't know why he's doing any of this, other than he just is. And why are we still coming back to the archetype of Mark Zuckerberg as a supervillain? Has anybody been paying attention to the presidential race? We have real-life supervillains running for president. If someone could ever surgically remove the stick-up Henry Cavill's ass, then he might make a good Superman one day. Sure, he looks the part, but he's as stiff and wooden as ever. He has zero chemistry with Amy Adams, who herself is treated as a convenient plot device. Gal Gadot is decent as Wonder Woman, but when she finally appears in costume, it's supposed to be a big moment, but instead falls completely flat. We've seen this already in the trailer 6 months ago! Jason Momoa as Aquaman and Ezra Miller as the Flash are barely worth mentioning. They're both in the movie for a total of 30 seconds each. And why does Lex Luthor have their comic book icons on his security footage? He commissioned his art department to get on those? Really? The whole look of the film is horrendous. We get the typical Zack Snyder slow motion and sepia tone scenes that are supposed to be these awe-inspiring and chill-inducing moments, but they come across as cliched and boring. Even though Ben Affleck's Batman is the highlight of the film, the design of the costume ripped directly from The Dark Knight Returns looks absolutely absurd on film. Henry Cavill's Superman suit is so drained of color that it might as well be black or gray. The movie builds the huge set-piece moments, which are little else but more disaster porn, which was the excuse for the ending of Man of Steel. And can someone go down to Best Buy and spend the $50 to get Zack Snyder a tripod? You shot a 2.5-hour movie on handheld cameras as if it was supposed to be artistic. It's not. It looks amateurish and cheap. It's hard to believe that this movie took 3 years and what some have speculated to be $450 million to make. This movie was supposed to lay the groundwork for a DC cinematic universe, and it's a colossal swing and a miss. On every level. How does that happen? in 2016. So much of this film is a walking parody of 90s comic book trends that came across as self-important and ridiculous then and come across as laughable now. Despite the pretentious dialogue and equally pretentious score, none of the characters' motivations make any sense and nothing carries any sort of emotional weight. You'd think that after Green Lantern and Man of Steel that Warner Brothers would have learned their lesson, but it's apparent they haven't learned a damn thing. And the sad thing is that with the success of this movie, unless they take the savaging from critics to heart and attempt to fix some of the glaring problems with this film, we can expect more of the same going forward. Maybe we've been spoiled. Maybe the bar was set too high. But maybe it's the law of averages that says we couldn't have gone this long without a comic book movie this bad. These movies aren't supposed to be art. They're supposed to be fun and enjoyable. Batman v Superman is neither. But the worst crime this movie committed was that it was boring. If this is indicative of what future DC movies are going to be like, then I am dreading their release schedule for the next 5 years. For the record, I hate doing a review like this. I really do. I take absolutely no joy in doing this. This is not a review I really wanted to do negatively. This movie is terrible, it's embarrassing, and represents everything wrong with this genre. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice gets 0 Chewbaccas and gets 1 Jar Jar. That's it for now. See you next time.